So I was about to, I'm gonna do something new today. Let's see if I can do this. We've already done the combo. It's gonna be our back leg round kick, back reverse side kick, back ridge kick.
So back leg round kick.
Back leg round kick. Back leg side kick, back ridge kick, back ridge hand.
Okay. I do remember doing that one.
Yeah.
Which number one is that? Do you remember?
This is like 6 or 7.
Early, yeah, it was early on.
It's pretty early. Okay.
Kick. Side kick.
Maybe like number 9 or something like that.
A lot of them finish with that ridge hand.
So I think it'll be ridge hand or back kick.
Okay. Right. I think I like ridge hand better. It's growing on me. Same thing too. Once I figured that one out and how much power you can get into it,
So
it's a cool strike.
there's a reason why I wanted to do this.
Okay.
And that is because it leads very naturally into the ridge.
I also just kind of want to see like.
A lot of ours, we're going very linearly straight. This one, we're doing a lot more turning. Every single move's a turn. The last one, we started off straight, then it was turn, turn, and then our turn was still kind of that linear movement.
Right.
Ridge hand is still going to be like that. It's going to be kind of like what I had you do last time with the side kick.
Right.
We're going to do the same thing here. So we're going to start with that ground kick, and then that side kick is going to basically go straight through, and that ridge hand is going to start going straight through and curve. So when we do that with ridge hand, so the back leg ground kick, you can, if you want to get that extra reach, so we already saw that kind of a lot of reach, is that you can step into it and boost it. Ground kick, side kick.
I enjoy it.
Then when we do the
Cool. I just
ridge hand, while my weight's still here,
Oh yeah, that's right. I
I
forgot
can
about that.
step into that ridge hand.
That's that little extra
It's that
power.
little extra bit of power.
So you're saying with the first round kick there, you can do bamboo step to kind of close
Then
the
we
gap.
step into it, get that, close that gap.
Okay, that seems tricky.
Yeah,
Wait, say a step,
that's
and
not gonna be
then
that big.
immediately going into it.
Yeah, so that's gonna be the tricky part.
Yeah, that's
So that's why it doesn't need to be a very large step
right.
on his legs. So you just doing about, right about there. So
Okay.
you saw, I did them almost like as one movement.
And yeah, you're almost, like, you almost like turned on your,
So what I'm doing is I'm actually pushing off with that back foot as I'm setting that foot down.
okay. And then so, well, yeah, once you set, you're already,
Once I'm set,
you're
I'm
not
not
moving
moving.
anymore, really. Okay. Why is that so complicated?
It's all so complicated.
That's true. That first step, though.
Oh, but here's what I want you to do on this. This is the one where I want you to try to figure all that stuff out.
Yeah, no, this is a good one to do it on.
This is definitely one of those ones, just like with the one we learned last time, where it's a lot of hip movement.
Right.
But this one's a little bit more complicated than the one for lunge step.
Yeah.
Because we're starting with that round kick.
Right. But you're essentially, again, it's all starting with that hip.
Yeah, it starts with that hip rotation. Once you get that foot set, it's just gonna be nothing but that rotation. That's it.
All right, I'll see y'all Tuesday.
All right,
Yes, sir.
have a good weekend.
All right, you too.
I'll try the other side.
Okay.
Yeah, that side feels good.
Okay. So, this is another one of those cases of, it starts off as like, we just learned 3 strikes. We learned 2 kicks and then a ridge hand.
Right.
So now what I want you to do is try to figure out what are all the moves in between. So like when we first start, there's a move before we even do that first kick. Right?
Right. The bamboo step.
That bamboo step kick here.
Right.
And there's gonna be a move in between before we do that side kick. And then a move between the side kick here. That land.
Right.
Or if you're landing, you can get that bit of a movement in. Get that ridge hand. And Mr. Nelson, since you're the only one here, you have this entire link.
That's true. I guess I got more room to play with.
We were on that lunch punch one for
I know.
five
I
classes.
know.
It's weird, it's just.
That was very helpful though.
Yeah, it's
It really
deceptively
was.
hard, it's got there's a lot of details to it.
I didn't catch half that
Yeah.
the first few times.
Crazy thing is that even after being here for 11 years, I come to class and I still learn new stuff.
Do you feel like you learn when you're teaching?
I do.
Yeah. I think that's really cool. That's a cool like reality. Because I think when I'm teaching my clients things, I'm like,
Yeah.
oh wait,
Huh,
yeah.
why am I teaching you? Why am I telling you to do this? Or especially it's like when they ask you, why are you telling me to do this?
Right, right,
It's like,
right.
huh.
Yeah, sometimes the questions that you get, that's when you really learn.
Yes. Or they'll ask like, how do I do this? And it's like, I've never taught anybody how to do this.
Right.
I have to figure out how to break this down.
There's a lot of things like that that I've taken for granted, and I'm like, oh wait, I didn't really learn that. I kind of just
Yeah.
figured that out,
Yeah.
you know?
I was just copying somebody else.
Yeah.
I realized I copied it wrong.
Yeah, I'm not getting as thrown off by the turns anymore.
Yeah.
That's
If,
really
yeah,
nice.
if you, I think that was like my big thing, was trying to get, how do I teach students to not fall over on those back reverse kicks? And it took me forever to figure out like, what was I doing versus what they were doing?
Right.
And then it's a case of, that's what I'm trying to get you guys to figure out now, is the whole concept of whenever I figured it out, I'm like, oh, now I know how to do it. What's my body actually doing?
Right.
And it's like, I had always heard, like Master Gohring is always saying, it's, everything's in your hips, the power comes from your hips.
Right.
But I never really thought about it,
Right.
and I never really like articulated that to any of the students.
Right.
And then eventually it was just like even though I'd say, hey, the power comes from your hips, it's like, that doesn't, a lot of times I say that doesn't mean anything, but then it's like, whenever I started realizing, if I'm focusing only on my hips,
Right.
then it
Then you
makes
can
a
figure it
big
out.
difference if you're only focusing on those hips.
Well, tell me too with some of my clients, 'cause I train a lot of older clients, like
Yes.
60 to 80, and so many of their issues stem
And
from
the
hips.
hips, it's the hips.
So it's helping me be more, I guess, attuned to some of those subtle things like that
Oh,
that
man.
aren't so obvious.
That's the thing that I don't understand is like, how does everybody's knees go out at such an early age, but your hips don't? Your hips go out at a late age.
It's
I
a
know
lot of
it's,
it has to do with the tilt
yeah,
or the lack of tilt.
but it's just that you've got so much more cushioning in the knees.
Yeah, it is an anatomy question. She probably would know the answer to this.
Yeah, so why do your knees go out before your hips?
Why your knees go out before your hips, it's a less stable joint.
It
Yeah.
is, but yeah.
I know it's less stable, but it seems like it's got more padding in it.
Surprisingly, yes, but it's also got twisting and shearing
Yeah.
that the hip doesn't have
Yeah,
to
the
do.
Yeah, it doesn't have to
the
do, because
shearing-
it already,
shearing
yeah, it's that
force.
shearing is
Yeah,
the,
so I mean, that's where people blow out their ACLs. you know,
Yeah.
this
Well,
ankle.
and when
Especially
this
if you
gets
landed.
gunked up,
Absolutely.
it adds to the shearing force.
yeah, it
Yes.
does, yeah.
So it's,
And like you said, tight hips are gonna put
Tight
the,
hips, yeah.
put the
Yep,
force
front
further
loading.
into the, yeah.
That's why I always have problems with the students that do their horse stances like this.
and then that's the valgus collapse.
just-
That's also,
Yeah, just
Yeah.
push them out.
just tears it apart, yeah. Yeah.
And sometimes in anatomical, like I would, with my surgeries, they released my kneecap because it was just, I was born
Whoa.
laterally situated, which is
Ugh.
why I just shredded it to pieces, so
Whoa.
they incised this to free up the kneecap.
Oh,
Yeah, it was pretty gnarly.
that is cool.
Had it on both sides.
Better than a full replacement.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
those are bad.
Lifesavers for some people, but hardcore.
True, very hardcore.
Lifesavers,
Bye, man.
man.
So there's this infographic that, I don't almost want to call it a meme that Master Gohring posted one time, where it's like, when you're kind of like a new person to Tai Chi, and it's like what are you observing? And it's like, what are the hands doing? And then it's like, when you're like intermediate, it's like, this is what you're observing. It's like, this is where the hands go, this is where the feet go.
Right.
And then when you
right.
become the more advanced, you're not thinking about that. You're like, where's my weight? Where are my hips?
Interesting.
Where's,
Yeah.
because when you first start, it's just like, it's the extremities. That's
Right.
what you notice. Where's my fist? Where's my foot going? As you get more and more into it,
It is the weight, yeah.
it's
you're
going to be your weight. You're going to start to look at, where's my core?
Another thing I've started noticing too is like, where am I looking?
Where are you looking?
Like with the forms? Because I've noticed that changes the form
Oh, yes.
significantly.
Significantly.
It also just looks weird if you're not looking in the right place.
Yeah. Oh. Oh. Yeah, I think I did go over that. It's like, where should you be looking? And it should always be, at least look at your hands.
Because you mentioned, you're like, yeah, Master Gohring said, the ground's not moving.
The ground's not moving. The ground's not going anywhere. You're not fighting the ground.
Yeah, it's not, hopefully.
But that's where everybody starts. I hate it because it's like, I'll see videos of me at like a green sash, and it's like, I'm doing this.
Hey, but that means you've learned.
Yes.